Well, if it's a Thursday in FeBREWary, we're talking with a brewery. Now, we'd love to be broadcasting live. Not possible during a pandemic, unfortunately. That just means my to-do list after the pandemic is over is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're doing the next best thing. We're hanging out with breweries virtually here on DC101, DC101.com, and on Facebook. Today, we are back in Fauquier County at Altered Suds, which I love the name, but I won't ask because that's a huge no-no to ask what the name of the brewery came from. So I won't ask. And just like I told Jay last week, don't tell me, Corey. Don't tell me. We have Corey from Altered Suds here. Thank you for joining us virtually. We appreciate you taking some time out of the day.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I have two beers that we got from Altered Suds to sample. They both have the same label. Can I ask the explanation behind this experience, this piece of art?
Oh, well, she's like our Ninkasi, which is the goddess of beer. And she's got a little bit of life and death in her hands. We do have another logo. It's a male logo, and it's got the same kind of vibe to it as well.
I dig it. Where would you like to start? I have an idea in my head. You gave me the Morning Haze IPA and the Realm Drifter Raspberry Gosa. What would you like to start with, Corey?
Ooh, well, I just had a glass of the Goza. Let's keep that one going.
Okay, all right. I gave you the choice. Usually I choose, but I gave you the choice because both of these styles kind of alter the palate a bit. So I don't think that we're gonna go wrong starting with either and then going to the other.
No, not at all.
And we have poured. You see Corey pouring. I've just poured mine. I cannot wait. I'm going to sniff while you continue that pour. He's doing a full pour. I like that.
I go bigger.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers to you.
That's very tasty. And I the thing I love about Gosas is the salt. I'm a big salt guy. And it took me a while. Usually, and this is a great place to start. If we just have a conversation about beer, Corey. Usually, you look at certain things when you go into a tap room, and if you don't recognize what it is, it's kind of like either you have that curious sense of asking, or you try to put on airs like in which case then you don't order it. And that was kind of me with Gosas for a long time. Then somebody kind of broke down what they are, what they're supposed to be, and then they mentioned about the salt in there, and I was like, well, I've never had a beer with salt in it, so let me try it. I loved it, and now I'm a Gosa fan. Gos or Gosa? How do you go, Corey?
Gosa is how I like to pronounce
it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So break down the Gosa experience for me, and then we can get into this version or your version of a Gosa.
So pretty much I take my base beer and it's a kettle sour. So I like to add a little Plantarum lactobacillus, get that pH down to about 3-4, and then, finish my boil and do the fermentation on it.
What makes a Gosa kind of, well, every beer genre and style is different and unique in their own way, but what makes the Gosa a unique style?
Oh, I think it's so diverse. You can do all kinds of things with it. It's great for fruits. I mean, you can do all kinds of amazing things with it. It's great any time of year. It used to be more of a summertime thing. Now people, they're drinking it any time of the year.
I think, and I've done a couple of episodes about low ABV beers in my craft beer podcast, Head Retention. These are generally skewed to the lower end of the ABV scale, correct?
Very sessionable. Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't find them pretty much over 5.
I don't think that I've had a Gosa that hasn't had some sort of fruit in it. I assume they exist. You decided to go with the I don't want to say traditional, but traditional fruit flavored Gosa, a raspberry Gosa. So why the raspberry?
Oh, I just thought it would be a perfect balance for it. And it's I do a few different ones, but the raspberry is the one that sells the fastest. So that's the one everyone keeps coming back for.
It's very tasty. it's very refreshing. Again, the first taste, I really get the salt. You get it less as you keep sipping it, but I do enjoy that little curveball in my beer. This is also good, and I keep harping on my podcast head retention. We talked about Gosas in relation to fitness as well, and there's I don't want to say there are health benefits of drinking a Gosa, but it's definitely better for you if you are watching your fitness or trying to maintain a fitness level than other types of beer. I think, if I can recall correctly, we had an expert on that episode. It had to do with the salt kind of being able to help absorb that alcohol so you don't have the big hangover the next day. I think, Corey, I'm not going to put you on the spot by asking you that question unless you know the answer.
I do not. I'm sure.
Good.
That sounds about right.
It sounds biologically correct, so I'm just gonna run with it.
And then scientifically, it sounds solid.
And then also say that Corey is a brewer. I'm a jackass who talks on the radio. So please don't take our word for this. Do your own research before you make a decision. Don't go, hey, the guy from DC101 says it's good for you, so I'm just going to start pounding them. Please don't do that. Don't do that. So, Corey, let's talk about Altered Suds. What do you do for Altered Suds? How long have you been doing it? And what's a little bit of a history of the brewery?
Well, I am the owner / brewer. We've been open since September 12th of 2019. So we got a nice little solid 6 months in before, everything hit the fan. But, you got to deal, you got to deal with it.
Okay, so what was that like? Because you opened September 2019. You're like, this is great. We'll do our summer thing. It looks like you have a beautiful tap room behind you. We'll make sure that's a great experience. And then when the summer comes of 2020, we're gonna blow this up. We'll have 6 months of kind of concept and trial and error, and then we exploded in the spring of 2020, and then the spring of 2020 the world exploded.
Oh yes, it was such a nice little incline we had going, and then that happens and everything just so yeah, we got by just fine. And we're lucky to have a blessed town. The town of Warrenton is so amazing. They really work with everybody, restaurants, breweries, and they're getting everyone through this thing.
Did you think to yourself in 2019 that, and this is non-COVID pandemic talk, did you think to yourself, or what was your thought process of opening a brewery in 2019? And I asked that with the kind of the caveat of at the point we're talking about 2019, I feel like people, if you were going to open a brewery, you would have opened it before. You must have seen a hole somewhere in Warrenton that said to you, there is space for a brewery in this town for me to fill.
Oh, for sure. Well, Warrenton is my hometown. I grew up here. I've left, gone out west for a few different times, but always end up back. It's my favorite place to be. So I knew I wanted to open one here. I was brewing at the Farm Brew at Broad Run. I was doing things at Old Busthead. So I was just ready to, do my own thing, and which is great because I got to build pretty much the place that I love to party at. And I get to brew beer, drink beer, and it's just a dream come true.
So take us through, not in reality, but take us through a virtual tour of what a setup would like if we were to walk into Altered Suds.
So a lot of people, they question, like, I did not know this was here, and I've lived in Warrenton for quite a while. It's very speakeasy feel. So it's down in the basement. You're going down some stairs, opens up, and everyone's like, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was down here. And it's a cool vibe. We're very music oriented, and we're, passionate about the beer. So really solid, just good vibes down here. Staff, the local customers, everything is pretty laid back, easygoing, good party vibe.
I've been to Warrenton probably twice in my life. So for someone who isn't from Warrenton or who doesn't get to Warrenton that often, what is are you guys in like a historic downtown area?
We are right on Main Street. Yeah, right on Main
Okay.
Street downtown. So we have restaurants on the strip, great shops. You know, it's a great place to walk around on a nice day for sure.
Without getting into the financials, how'd you score a spot along Main Street in Warrenton in 2019?
Well, the owner of the pub right above us, Casey, he owns the Molly's Irish Pub. He's a part owner down here as well, but
Got
he had a space down here that had been vacant for 12 years, 10 years, something like that. So he was like, dude, come downstairs, check this out. And once I saw it, I was like, this is the place. This is my, yeah, it was
is
perfect.
I was gonna say, is it what you had envisioned of
No,
where you wanted to
I think I liked it a little bit better than what I was envisioning.
What was your vision for people who have been to Altered Suds to kind of compare what you were thinking to what the reality turned out to be?
I wasn't expecting the speakeasy dungeon feel, but it suits us perfectly.
Well, I mean, look, just looking at we talked about the can, the name kind of gives a zag while everybody's zigging. Like I like it's Altered Suds Beer Company, which doesn't have the word brewing in it at all, and even the word beer is kind of in the secondary name of the brewery. So you've got Altered Suds, which doesn't have any beer in it, but really lets you know what it is. So it is kind of a zag to everybody else's zig, which I can appreciate.
Ah, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, hell yeah.
You're welcome. And so I can imagine what people thought when you said the first reaction was, "Oh, I didn't even know this was down here." So again, you're playing into that whole, yeah, we're not what you expect us to be, and we're not going to be what you expect us to be, and that's going to be a good thing. You're going to be happy about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a beer. It's a place for adults to come drink beer and enjoy and talk beer. You know, it's not extremely kid friendly, but I mean, kids are definitely more than welcome. But it's just a place for adults to come and really enjoy a nice solid beer.
I like what you said there, and again, nobody. I'll reiterate what Corey just said. We're not saying kids get the hell out of here, but there is a time and a place for the kids, and it sounds like Altered Suds realizes that time and place. But for me, and my third reference to the podcast, it's a good thing nobody's drinking every time I mention the podcast because we wouldn't be able to finish this conversation. But my third reference to the podcast is the podcast that I wanted to create was a conversation about beer and the lifestyle of craft beer, where it's not just we're sitting here, we're doing tastings and we're breaking down the content of each beer, but we're also talking about things that you would talk about in a tap room. We're talking about different styles of beers that we like. It's a conversation about the lifestyle of craft beer. And it sounds like that is something that's very important to you as well, especially as it regards to your ambiance that you're trying to create at Altered Suds.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I mean, the whole town it's a really fun place to come. We know how to party, we do it well. And we enjoy our beer. I've been brewing beer for many of years and able to brew and drink the beer that I love, which is, the biggest thing for me.
So is there kind of I don't want to say an official mantra, but is there a mindset that you try to create an Altered Suds experience that you hope people can kind of gather as they walk through the door after walking down the steps?
Live altered. No, just have a good time. We're just all about having a good time. That's all we're here for,
Well, it's great because, I did this whole paragraph explanation of what I was thinking about zigging and zagging and lifestyles or whatever. And then you just sum it up in 2 words, live altered, which sums up everything that I just said very succinctly, which I like. So thank you for helping me with my economy of words, Corey.
Oh, dude, no problem at all. No problem at all. We say that here all the time. Just live altered.
It's a great mentality, and it's a great thing to think and a great mantra to have because it encompasses so many things in a really, really succinct way. I really, really dig that. So let's get into the altered experience as far as the pandemic is concerned. And I know that people, myself included, are kind of loath to talk about business during the pandemic, but you guys being a a new brewery and having to adjust as you were a new brewery, what were some of the challenges that you guys faced to keep the doors open and the lights on, especially I would assume during the first few months? And what are some of the practices that you came out with that you think to yourself, these are things that we'll probably do even after the whole pandemic has been lifted?
Sure. Well, I mean, our landlord, thank goodness, was super nice with us and definitely floated us a little bit. But the town, we have a farmers market, and they did a drive-by farmers market, which goes right by us. So we were out there just selling cans all day out the door, which definitely helps.
Did you have
the to-go stuff.
did you have a cannery already in, or did that
We,
something that you pivoted to because of the pandemic?
we did have a canning unit already set up, but
So what you
that was a life sent.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess what you're saying, the pivot was, okay, well, rather than having people walk down the stairs to get our beer and hang out, let's take it up the stairs, put it right on the street. And as people are driving by, this is a way we can continue to move product while we can't have people inside.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was tons of to-go sales. We were doing deliveries, so you didn't even have to leave the house. We'll come drop off beer, which was popular as well.
I don't think I've ever asked anybody this, any business owner this, but it's something that was on my mind. Obviously, you had an OS moment, and obviously that probably lasted a few weeks and then into a few months. At what point did you go, okay, look, this really sucks. I can sit here and twiddle my thumbs and be angry about it and be frustrated or lash out or do whatever it is you do when you get upset, or I can really think about ways to get outside the box and keep this business that that I'm sure you were working hard to launch even before September of 2019 to keep it going. How long did the kind of mindset shift take to go, this sucks, to I've got to make my way through anything?
Probably about a month. Once I saw at the end of a month that we were still able to, oh, we're getting by just fine. I had zero worries. I knew that we were going to get through it, and let's just have fun with it. There's nothing else we can do.
Who governs the laws in your area? I'm assuming either the county or the town, or if it goes through the Commonwealth. Mike, it's leading up to this question, so you can answer the question by telling me who governs the laws, which is a lot of things have been kind of relaxed during the pandemic. And I'm hopeful, this is me personally as a beer consumer, that lawmakers see, oh, we didn't really need these ultra strict laws because we thought the whole world would fall apart if we, for instance, delivered beer. And now people have been getting beer delivered for a year now. There's no reason for us to then go back to the old ways. Is that something, I assume the answer is yes, that you and brewers across the area and the country are hoping for moving forward? Or are you thinking to yourself, I want people in my tap room hanging out, and that's what I'm focused on. So I'm hoping that when this is over, we can get back to the tap room, and that's where I'm focusing my energies on.
I'm focusing on the tap room. I mean, right now, the town of Warrenton, well, ultimately the governor says what can happen in Virginia, but the town of Warrenton can regulate, oh, are you allowed to have people outside with, outside cups on Main Street, or can you not? Right now, they're allowing it, and that's something I think is worked out well for us. And we'll see if they go back to not doing that. But I think it's something that's definitely working. It's definitely bringing people into Warrenton. And like I said, the Old Town is great restaurants, great boutique stores, and being able to have a drink on Main Street in front of the restaurant that you're having, or in front of Altered Suds is something that people enjoy because the weather's nice. And for me, the kind of dungeon feel down here during the summer, it's great, nice and cozy in the winter, but in the summer you kind of want to have a beer in the sun.
Right. But you know what? Having said that, and reading into your answer, you're thinking to yourself, I'm assuming you're thinking, I want people coming and hanging out with me and in the surrounding and creating an ambiance in my tap room. There is something to be said about when you go to New Orleans or when you go to Vegas where they have open container laws, and it's kind of fun and it's kind of cool and it's kind of different. There's something to be said about not having that everywhere you go. Like, because then when you go to those places, you feel like it's kind of fun and different and unique. Whereas if everybody was doing it all over the place, then it wouldn't be kind of that special thing anymore.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, right now on Main Street, you're only allowed to have it right in front of the restaurant that you're eating at. So it's zoned out, but it is working. You know, it's something that's awesome to have.
I'm ready to try an IPA.
Let's get in there. So we got the Morning Haze, which is going to be a hazy. It was the Southern Cross and African Queen hops. So 2 hops when I had first brewed this, I had never used before and was a little worried. You know, I didn't know how it was going to come out, but I was pleasantly surprised. It's been one of our great sellers. Another full pour for this guy.
And by the way, it's a beautiful pour, Corey. I mean, it's a beautiful pour. Look at that head. It's magnificent.
Thank you. So it's very unique. Very unique hop profile on this one.
I was just gonna say, even in the nose, and I haven't had my first sip yet. Even in the nose, it's a hop flavor, but it's a unique hop flavor that I don't know that I've smelled before.
Right. You get tons of melon. I get honeydew. I get cantaloupe. I get a lot of melon notes to it.
All right. I've cleansed my palate of the Gose, which is not easy, but I did it.
It can be tough. It can be tough.
Oh, that is delicious. That is absolutely delicious. You're right, and I think the good thing is about those different melon flavors really they don't suppress, but they kind of tamp down the hop flavor. So you get the hop flavor, which is really good, but this isn't blowing out your palate because the melon kind of balances it out. So it's the point where it's not just it's a taste bud killer because it's just a hop explosion.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing crazy. They're almost subtle hops, but you know, if you add enough, it's a beautiful balance.
You said you've been brewing for a number of years, and it's a question I've wanted to ask brewers and I never have. Were you excited when the West Coast craze kind of died down and the hazy New England style craze came about? Did it give you more of a license to do some different styles? And I say that as somebody who had gone through a West Coast IPA love. I think any American who's gotten a craft beer in the last 10 years probably started with an IPA. And then I went through a huge fatigue of West Coast IPA. Now I'm kind of getting back into West Coast IPAs. But now I'm more appreciative of them because I'm not just buying. It's not just you walk into any beer and wine store or a brewery and ask for an IPA and it's an automatic West Coast IPA. Now I've got some options for my IPAs, including a West Coast IPA. So as a brewer who brewed kind of through the West Coast IPA phase, were you happy with the kind of settling off or the decline of West Coast IPAs to kind of meet the demands of other styles of IPAs?
I'm a big IPA drinker. So the East Coast is my favorite right now. I do love a West Coast, especially when they first come out. It was like, let's see how many IBUs we can actually get up to. And it was like 100 plus. And it was just like, whoa. So the low IBU, juicy, really, hop forward beers were always super good to me. So that's what we like to do a lot of here. A lot of the low IBU East Coast style, whether it be juicy, hazy, or, a little bit more sessionable, but still just low IBU, easy drinking. And you got the mountain style, a lot drier. I think IPAs they're always here to last, and it's fun being able to do more than one style of it for sure.
Right. Let me ask you something about the tap room, and I know the tap room experience was a September to March, and then you're hoping that you can get back to it, and it's been an adjusted tap room experience since then. But a lot is a lot was changing in September 2019 as far as tastes are concerned. And since the pandemic, there's actually been even more of a I don't want to say a shift, but an expansion of beer drinkers' palates during this time. And I'm thinking about obviously seltzers. I'm thinking about we did the non-alcoholic episode of head retention recently. Some low ABVs are starting to come in, things that are under 4%. Is that something that you think about when you start putting together a game plan of what we're going to brew over the course of a year, is having something for everyone in your tap room?
Well, we are definitely a hop forward brewery, but yeah, I like to keep my boards, comfortable for everybody. Something light, something dark, something lower ABV, something malty. Yeah, I always try and keep a nice balance, and then have, a little more than average on the IPAs.
And I like that idea too, because when people walk in, they know, okay, if you love hoppy beers, this is a brewery for you. But if you're in a group of 5 people and 4 people want to go to Altered Suds, that 5th person's not going to be excluded because they like stouts or porters or lagers. You're going to have something that they can hang out with and enjoy the company of their 4 IPA loving friends without feeling like they've got to do something or drink something that isn't in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a ginger beer on right now, a Schwartz beer, English pale ale. We got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So yeah, it's something for everybody.
Let's go off board because you just mentioned one of my top 5 brewery styles or beer styles of a Schwartz beer. So tell me about your Schwartz beer so that I can daydream that I'm in the brewery doing my show live on a Thursday and enjoying a great Schwartz beer at Altered Suds.
I mean, it's super easy drinking, that light bodied, dark, just a hint of roast, just a hint of, the dark stuff, but then you just get this very easy, smooth, light bodied, drink going down. It's so poundable. That's one of the ones I pound back daily.
I love Schwartz beers, and I've said this on DC101 a number of times. My favorite part about drinking.
I'm sorry, brother.
Well, who knew? Who knew? My favorite part about drinking a Schwartz beer is seeing the frown of people who don't like dark beers, and then having them try it, and they do the whole, this doesn't taste anything like I thought it would. This is actually light and good. That's my favorite part of the Schwartz beer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to see people that only do light stuff, and then they drink that and they're like, I didn't think this could happen.
But, and to kind of bring the whole conversation full circle, that is what I think, I'm going to assume that your taproom experience is about. That's what I love about the craft beer community, the lifestyle of craft beer, is that we are sidled up to a bar, we're drinking beer, but we're also having some fun conversations about beer, and we're opening our minds to different styles that we may not have thought we would get into. And then, oh, wait a second, you don't think you like dark beers? Shh, try that one. Then you take a sip of that, and then we have a 25-minute conversation about how dark beers can be light and how light beers can be heavy, and we can and gosas and having salt in our beer. And next thing you know, we've been hanging out now for 90 minutes, 2 hours, enjoying conversation, but the conversation is around the fellowship and the community of beer drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're about here. Is just enjoying the good quality beers. And, the Schwartz beer, say a person doesn't do dark beer, they're on a Schwartz beer, they drink it for a month, and then all of a sudden they get that taste for it, that fiend for it. And maybe next time they'll go for something a little darker. They'll go for something, that they're expanding their beers, it definitely helps out.
And you can do it within, and to people who are thinking, oh, well, that's an easy jump, but you can also do it within the world of IPAs. We literally just talked about West Coast IPAs. If somebody who considers himself a craft beer fan, but doesn't like IPAs, because in 2014, the first beer they ever had was a West Coast IPA that blew out their taste buds because it had so much hop in it that they thought about it again. why don't you try a little bit of this? And you could say, oh, if you think hobby beers, exactly.
Someone right on
this. Right. And now we're within the genre of IPAs, moving around and messing around with different kind of tastes within that style of beer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's that's what's so awesome about this community and the beer industry itself. It's just so much fun. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. It's great.
Live altered. I love the mantra. I love the mentality. And I think in this conversation that Corey and I had, we kind of, and I wasn't expecting to do this, but we kind of just made that the theme of our conversation inadvertently, but it really worked for what we were talking about, especially for promoting Altered Suds. But we did it in a conversational way, which I thought was really cool. And again, this is what I love about craft beer, is that we can move around and we can have these different conversations, and yet we come back to the main point, which is we love craft beer, we love the lifestyle and the culture of it, and talking about it. So if people want to learn more about Altered Suds, how do we find you, socials and website?
Instagram, Altered Suds, and then alteredsudsbeer.com is another way to look and see what's going on here.
I think that, and I'm getting a theme in the last year or so. Instagram seems to be what the brewers are really leaning in on as their preferred choice for social media. And I get it, because Twitter, you can't really go in on the pictures and the seeing the beers poured. That's kind of like part of the experience. Facebook doesn't reach, I would assume, your like your target demo that you're really focusing on. A lot of people use Facebook. It's a great tool, but for the person that you're trying to get into the brewery and to figure out what Altered Suds is all about, Instagram seems like the perfect place to kind of introduce yourself on social media.
It seems to be the place, that all breweries, love the most. And it's the best way for beer to find it.
Yeah. And that's Instagram is good, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Instagram is good. Corey,
absolutely.
Thank you so much, man, for taking some time. We appreciate you spending your Thirstday with us. We got to thank our friends at Visit Fauquier for sponsoring FeBREWary this year virtually. I said at the beginning, my to-do list is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I have never been to downtown Warrenton, and now that I know that there's a main street and there's a walkable area of Warrenton, and then within that walkable area, there's this cool speakeasy style brewery called Altered Suds Beer Company there. When this is all over, fingers crossed for the summertime, I can make my way down to Warrenton and check you guys out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me know. We'll drink some beers together.
Sounds good, my friend. Corey, thank you very much, man, and continued success with the new venture.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.